So my name is Jia. I'm a graduate student at the Center for Civic Media at the MIT Media Lab. And today I would like to share with you a project that's still very much in progress. And I thank you in advance for bearing with me through this a bunch of in-progress things. So there were two main ideas that brought me to my dissertation project early on. And the first was that as individuals, data is collected from us, and then it's used on us. And we're both the source material and end user for a lot of data products in every area of our lives, but we have very little agency in the in-between part. Sometimes it's for our benefit, sometimes it's for financial benefit, but mostly it's indistinguishable between the two. So I wanted to work on ways for individuals to use public data for self-gain, for self-promotion, for self-understanding, and for individuals to have more of a one-on-one interaction with larger data sets that are public. The second idea was the idea that we've become more aware of our media diet online. We're becoming more aware of the echo chamber. We care more about what we're missing. And we know that it's important to balance our diets in terms of media consumption. And on the other hand, we've always talked about world travel as a way to broaden our world views. So this idea is that actually, our daily exposure, physical exposure to places also has the power to shape our worldviews, where we go every day, and especially the strangers we see and encounter. So I think it's helpful to think about our exposure to everyday places and through the lens of public data. So thinking about these two things, I'm trying to use census data, the more public of public data sets, to understand the demographics of our daily routines and to think about daily experiences through the lens of this data. So what is the Constant Atlas? What it is right now is a series of maps and charts using census data and other public data sets that's generated by a user's location over time. And I'll show you a series of experiments that I'm working on that kind of shows you what I mean by that. What is a place? So the first thing I went to was to think about where I am in terms of the census at all times. So I built quickly a Twitter bot that follows my phone, my phone around. And every time I move to a different census tract, it tweets, oh, this is where you are in terms of the census. You have just spent 30 minutes in a place where there are 7% of residents working in sales and related occupations. It quickly became evident that this was a very poor design because it took 4 tweets to just get out the very basic information that I was interested in. And in addition to the character limit of tweets, it was also a problem because there was a complete lack of context. Sure, I'm getting some interesting tidbit of the census data of where I am, but I don't know where I've been. I don't know what is about the data where I'm going and how it compares to other people and how this area compares to other people. So every area of context was missing. So we go back to this, how else can I use census data to describe a place? So then the second attempt was to build a simple mobile and able website that works on basically the same principles. You go anywhere with your phone, you open this website, and you go, and it just says a little paragraph of where you are. And it keeps going, and it's like infinitely scrolling, and eventually covers the whole American Community Survey. I myself didn't even want to read this to the bottom. So it was hard for friends too, much harder. So then I started thinking about presenting the information a little bit better. So here's where I live. It's in Brooklyn, but it doesn't really matter. So the dot is where I am right now, or let's say that's where I am. And then I'm in the census tract that's red. It's showing up a little bit differently. So the slightly lighter red, which is the orange, is the adjacent tracts, and then there's the adjacent tracts to that. So this is the context I'm dealing with right now. So then I put this back into the mobile app with a lot of panels for each of the categories. So the map that's on the top. And then I split the categories into 3 sections that at the time I think was like more user-friendly than what the census would be usually presented to people, because we care about who, we care about how they live, like, you know, does this person make more money than me? Do I live in an area where people are taking a long time to get to work and I work from home, so I should feel really good about myself? I don't know. So what happens is you open a panel, it gives you an overview chart of that section, usually a pie chart, but sometimes, you know, different charts according to the data. And then if you click or touch one of the sections, it gives you additional context of where you lie in the census tracts around you. So in this case, I'm living in a place that's right at the top end of the population that's married right now. And then some other categories immediately gives you that. So this is the age and the income, I believe. And these are the categories, right? So for the most part, this is like a replication of a really wonderful census project, the Census Reporter, which is just this amazing platform for journalists to understand the census when they work with stories. And what I've done is to recenter it around like where the user is at this moment, and also to recategorize some of the things to make it more user-friendly to a certain extent. So then now, but I want to know where people go all the time. So for example, this is a day. And then the categories, so the line chart, it's a little bit small, but on the left, from left to right, it's like the 24 hours. So you can see the flat line, it's like I'm home and, you know, the census data doesn't change. And then when I go out, this is what happens throughout the day. So then if we do a bunch of days, it starts to get a little messy. But what I really wanted to know was where I am now, how does it compare to where I've been? Here, for example, I made it a little larger. So it's a heat map of the percentage of households that speak only English of all the places I've been. And then here's where I am now, where the red line is. So I'm usually at a place where between 70 and 80% of households speak only English, and I'm just below that currently for different categories. But then I really want to move on to where should I go to balance this diet? Where should I go? How can I re-plan something and think about it in terms of the census to figure out where I want to go so that my experience reflects the city, reflects the country, reflects my families, and just in terms of the census or public data sets. Like, can I do this? Will that be a compelling experience, addition to my daily experience? So there are a lot of issues, but I'm going to leave you here with 1 minute to spare, and just say that I think, to sum it up, it's people's daily rituals and paths through places, no matter how far apart or close together, it's cumulatively formative in this way, and maybe we can see that through public data sets, and I hope to do that. So thank you. That's it.